Thank you very much, Mona. Thanks, everyone. It's brilliant to be here. And how do you follow that? I don't mean the lunch. That was nice. But this morning was stunning. So inclusive and articulate and breathtaking in its scope. It was really inspiring. And so hopefully I will match, certainly I will attempt to match what has gone before. So this is more from the coalface. It's more tactical. It's not strategic necessarily. It's not big picture stuff. It's about what happens when things go wrong and how we bring suppliers, colleagues, systems into play to help us manage risk. So it says, please ignore on here. What do I use the schoolboy error? Next, back, next, back. Brilliant. Drainage resilience, application of technology to mitigate risk, because my job is all about mitigating risk and getting people to where they want to be, and goods, of course, getting things and people to where they need to be and want to be on time, delivering the timetable. Now, lots of people have alluded to this already, but poor and ineffective drainage was identified as a key contributory factor in major incidents and I think Mona mentioned nearly all of those apart from Clarborough and Baildon. And Baildon keeps on reminding us just how far we need to go. In terms of losses, now, our job is not just about risk management, it's about sound financial management, and losses to Network Rail in terms of premature earthworks renewal, upwards of £30 million a year. Additional, and by that, unnecessary track maintenance, £10 million a year, and Schedule 8 train delays, £10 million a year in old money prior to inflation that we've seen in recent years. And sites with poor drainage have all those things wrong with them. It's just a no-brainer to make drainage work better. The drainage we have, and we will avoid so much unnecessary expense, so much unnecessary time in dangerous situations, so much annoyance, so much wasting of people's time. I updated these slides, and thank you very much to whoever updated the pack, because I'm really grateful, because it now includes something about Storm Babette, which hit us like a hammer. So that's 27th of October, and it was an easterly weather system. Came in from the North Sea, and it dropped at least 4 times more rain than was forecast, so we really, really suffered. The red sites are where we suffered flooding on the 27th, 28th and 29th of October, and the green sites are where we had flooding previously, since 2009, but we didn't suffer flooding in Storm Babette. Now, whether that's a function of the particular intensity, duration of the rain, I don't know. So a part of me would like to think that we've had some successes there, but the rash of red means we've got so far to go. And this is just basic operational stuff. It's not rocket science. It's making sure pipes are fixed on time in the right place. It's making sure our jetting shifts are carried out at the right frequency. It's making sure that we fully understand our drainage systems and have an excellent drainage inventory, which we're working on at the moment. Because Thomas Telford was quoted earlier, I'm going to quote, I can't remember his name. Someone very famous and very eminent said, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Someone will shout out who that was. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Phil Verster, perfect. Yeah, a massive South African once said that, yeah. And the graph on the bottom right is October's rainfall as compared with every month since April 2009. It's not the highest. We've had worse, and I fear that worse is to come. And that's Babette in terms of all the named storms we've had. So the various Met offices of Northern European countries started naming storms in 2015-16. And in terms of the impact on our timetable, Babette was without compare at least, over 3 times more delay to our trains than we've ever seen in a major storm. And named storms account for about 55% of all the flood-related delay we get. So these are the biggies. I thought Franklin was bad. If we ever get to Zeus, I'm giving up. So how do we go about reducing flood risk on the railway in a tactical way? Quality from the start, inspection, maintenance, proactive maintenance, checking CCTV, standing shoulder to shoulder with our colleagues in the delivery units to make sure that we do the right thing at the right time, and also respond in a timely manner to incidents. so that we can gather information from source just after the event. Physical work, obviously, remote condition monitoring, evaluation, analysis and modelling. We don't do nearly enough of that. Drainage management plans, we don't do that nearly well enough, but we will. Drainage inventory completion, I alluded to that before, that's a key plank of our efforts this year. And standard operator procedures. The thing I'd like to focus on today is remote condition monitoring, CCTV and telemetry, both in-house and third party. And it's lovely to see that our key suppliers and stakeholders and colleagues in this endeavour are in the room today, most of them anyway. So currently we have fixed CCTV cameras at our troublesome truck sites, flood risk sites, persistent sites of flood risk and actual flood delay across the 3 routes that used to comprise London North East and East Midlands. We've now disaggregated, devolved, but for the purposes of this, I include my sister route, brother routes, East Coast and East Midlands. And we have remote condition monitoring of critical drainage assets at several more sites. So there's a good geographical spread. Whether they're the right sites, who knows, but they certainly felt right at the time. And they've proven themselves. So this is an image of our CCTV sort of master screen. Sometimes on rainy days I feel like someone who works in a council CCTV office looking for yobs on corners. But it does pay dividends because we can avoid delay. I've certainly had at least 4 incidents where by looking at these images we can either say to control it's all right, it's below railhead and it's not moving, or it doesn't look as if it's moving, the water I mean, or yeah, we've lost the line, because an image from site can save someone having to go to site in what is likely to be appalling weather. We were pioneers in this, I think it's fair to say. Other infrastructure operators have had CCTV for a long time, but we were the first in Network Rail to have quite an extensive network. And since this was set up, we've now made it accessible to control in a number of different ways through really, really innovative use of, well, to me, fiendishly complicated operating systems, but to colleagues, it's dead easy, it's day job, which is fantastic to have, people like that who know their way around a computer system. So now the key thing about this is it's no good just having a blank screen of lots of CCTV, static CCTV pictures of potential flood sites. The real purpose of this is to make it sing, make it work for our colleagues in the operations centre, to make it relevant so that if an intervention has to happen, if someone has to go to site, they've got the information at their fingertips. So it's brilliant having this, but basically I was the only one who used to use this until recently when it became available to control in a structured and accessible way. And that's sort of fairly recent images, and this particular, portal is now accessible through Power BI, and everyone has access to it, and it shows the latest image. So these are from yesterday. There's 2 critical flood risk sites here, one on the Calder Valley line, which is critical to TRU diversions, which happen nearly every weekend now, and the other one's on the Leeds-Skipton line. So it's a very good way of spotting problems early and intervening to minimise risk. In addition to the CCTV, we have remote condition monitoring of critical drainage assets, lots of different things, groundwater monitoring points, sumps, basic catch pits, cascades, etc. And this is a fantastic way of checking on the health of our overall drainage system in terms of water management, because the response is instantaneous. We've got levels set based on the historic behaviour of that particular asset and drainage system. It's a powerful way of managing water levels, and we can and do respond to rising water levels should they occur by sending contractors out, by going ourselves, by talking to control and sending mobile operations managers. In addition, we make use of others. So the Environment Agency and the people who put the Flood Forecasting Centre, fantastic source of information, And this gives a certain degree of comfort. They have been wrong. They have been wrong, very recently. But it's a good guide as to the level of threat in our routes. And in response to, well, where we have a persistent flood risk site, I'm not getting the numbers yet. That's really good news. Is that good news? Or are you scoring the previous speakers like 5-1? Yeah. Where we have a site that we just can't control, we have to get our expensive signalling kit out quickly. We have to give good notice to our customers that we're not going to be able to run trains or trams in certain cases. So we have to use standard operating procedures. Now the team are working really hard on these to make them really logical, succinct, accurate and effective. We have them for sites such as Rotherham, where we're not going to fix that overnight. Anyone who knows Rotherham, well, the River Don takes over its former path through the valley on occasion. It's a 1 in 3 return period for a catastrophic flood there, which is simply untenable, but we can't do anything without buying in to a much bigger project. And it's been alluded to several times this morning. We have to work with others. It's a system, we're part of a system, and we really have a part to play. Often we have to come with money to buy a seat at the table. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I get that. We've had a successful example of this at Leeds, where after the 2015 floods on Boxing Day, Storm Eva, which didn't even feature in that table I showed earlier, which shows how catastrophic Babette was. Storm Eva led to the highest river level at the River on record, and we lost the railway for a week. After that, I went begging the Environment Agency, saying, look, please don't put your defences on the wet side of the railway. Please include us this time. Oh yeah, it'll cost you. Fine, it'll cost, I get that. But so since 2015, we've been hand in glove with the Environment Agency and Leeds City Council. Now we've gone on the cusp of getting a really successful flood alleviation scheme in the ground that will give the railway a level of protection of 1 in 200, which is fantastic compared to the 1 in 2 it currently is now. So we have these standard operating procedures. We face outwards. We talk to our stakeholders, customers, neighbours, and we get by. How much time do I have left? I've got a couple of case studies. 5. Fantastic. I'm sure I can get a 6. This is Hornbeam Park, just south of Harrogate. Now, I feel really bad because one of our key partners in our efforts to keep drainage systems clean presented just before dinner, lunch. Anyway, I'll carry on. Please don't take offence. It's not meant in any way to be offensive. But there was a jetty shift carried out by Ready Power in June last year. Sorry, this year. That's how this drainage system normally. So to the left, that's how it used to behave. The odd spike as a result of a heavy shower. But after the jetting shift, something happened, and now the base flow is about a lot higher, and it's really difficult to manage flood risk here. We will get to it. We'll ask you to come back and see what happened, because no malice in it. It's just something got dislodged downstream, perhaps. But this is a really good example of clues. I didn't know you were presenting today. Clues that we can pick up by using telemetry and analysing the outputs, which is real time, it's fully accessible, and it's really accurate. And that's what it looked like for that spike. So, So I talked to Phil Harrison, who was here today, and I said, please can you reduce the levels of alert on the Hornbeam Park telemetry, because they're not really working it for us. So we reduced them right back down, and now we've got quite accurate levels of warning and alert. As I mentioned Rotherham before, that's what happens at Rotherham on the right there. Millions of litres of filthy water flooding the railway for several days at a time. We've now got our response time and the way we respond to imminent flooding down to, well, it's not a fine art, but it's a lot better than it was. So now we can get 36 hours notice of a rising river level, because after much whinging, I managed to get the Environment Agency to pop a forecast on the gauge nearest the flood risk site. So now we can get a 36-hour look ahead. 12 hours is sufficient for our S&T colleagues to disconnect and remove critical equipment from the railway corridor, thus saving a lot of money in replacing AWS magnets, relays, etc. And most importantly to me, we can give customers the bad news that you're not going to be able to travel by train or tram through East Rotherham for at least 2 days. But it's safer. Fewer people have to put themselves in harm's way, and we get the railway back a lot quicker. And we've got some CCTV on site there. The bottom right picture is what the river did to our rudimentary flood defence. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening.